The twin suns of Charon 7, a dusty mining colony at the edge of the galaxy, were setting behind the metal hills. The air was thick with smoke from the engines, and workers moved slowly through the long, narrow streets of the outpost. Among them walked a human named Ethan Cole, a quiet engineer who repaired mining bots for a living. He was known as a man who never looked for trouble. He lived alone in a small metal hut, spoke politely, and helped anyone who asked. Life on Charon 7 was hard, but Ethan accepted it without complaint. He had seen war and hunger back on Earth. This place was still better than that. As he walked home from the docks one evening, he heard a sound. A cry, soft but filled with fear. It came from the old scrapyard at the end of the street. Most people avoided that place. It was dark, filled with broken machines and often used by smugglers. Ethan hesitated for a moment, then followed the sound. When he stepped inside, he saw 3 large alien mercenaries, their silver armor glowing faintly in the red light. They surrounded a small alien child, no older than 6, with gray skin and bright blue eyes. The child clutched something glowing in her small hands. A pendant, shining softly like a heartbeat. The mercenaries shouted in a harsh alien tongue. Ethan didn't understand the words, but their tone was cruel. The child tried to back away, tripped, and fell to the ground. One of the aliens raised his metal rod ready to strike. Ethan didn't think. He moved without plan or reason, just instinct. "Hey!" he shouted. His voice echoed through the scrapyard. The aliens turned, surprised to see a human standing there. Ethan's heart pounded, but he didn't back down. "Leave her alone," he said firmly. The leader of the group laughed, a deep, ugly sound. "Go home, human," he growled. "This is not your business." Ethan took a breath. "She's just a kid," he said. "You don't hurt kids." The aliens looked at each other, amused. One of them stepped closer. "You protect her, human? Then you take her punishment." Before Ethan could speak again, the first blow hit him across the face. The force threw him to the ground, his head spinning. He could taste blood. The aliens laughed. The child cried out, trying to crawl away, but Ethan pushed himself up again. "Run!" he told her. "Hide!" He didn't know why he said it. Maybe because he remembered being small once, scared and helpless. Maybe because no one had ever stood up for him when he needed it. He wouldn't let that happen to someone else. The second blow hit his ribs, hard enough to crack something. Pain shot through his chest, but he stayed standing. The aliens kept hitting him, kicks, punches, the metal rod. Each time he fell, he forced himself back to his feet. The child's sobs grew louder. Ethan's vision blurred. He could barely see now. Still, he spread his arms and stood between her and them like a shield. "Enough," one of the aliens sneered. "He's done." They raised the rod again, but before it could strike, a bright light filled the scrapyard. The pendant in the child's hand was glowing like a small sun. The air shimmered, and a strange sound filled the space, like a heartbeat mixed with thunder. The aliens froze. One of them shouted in fear, but it was too late. The energy burst outward in a wave, throwing the mercenaries backward. Their armor cracked, sparks flew. Within seconds, they were on the ground, unmoving. The light faded. Ethan dropped to his knees, exhausted and bleeding. The child crawled to him, eyes wide with shock. You hurt," she said in a small voice. Her words were broken but clear. Ethan smiled weakly. "You're safe," he whispered. Then everything went dark. When he opened his eyes again, the world had changed. He was lying in a smooth metal chamber, the air filled with a soft hum. Strange machines floated nearby, glowing blue. His body no longer hurt, but he felt weak. Standing beside him was the same child, now clean and dressed in white. Behind her stood a tall alien woman with silver skin and long, dark eyes that glowed faintly. She wore armor marked with golden lines and carried herself like a queen. "Human," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "Do you know who I am?" Ethan shook his head slowly. "I am Velara, commander of the Zenthari Guard," she said. "And this is my daughter, Lyra. You saved her life." Ethan blinked. "I just saw she needed help." Velara studied him for a long moment. "You took their blows. You could have died. No human would have done that." Ethan gave a weak smile. "Maybe you've met the wrong kind of humans." For the first time, Velara's stern face softened. "Perhaps," she said quietly. "You changed something today, human. You may not yet understand how much." Ethan wanted to ask what she meant, but his strength was fading again. As he drifted back into sleep, he heard her voice one last time. "Rest now, Ethan Cole," she whispered. "You saved my child, and for that, I owe you everything." The lights dimmed, and the hum of the machines filled the silence. Outside the chamber, the alien guards exchanged uneasy glances. None of them knew it yet, but this human, this fragile, stubborn creature, had just changed the fate of two worlds. When Ethan woke up again, soft blue light filled the room. His wounds were gone, and strange machines hummed around him. He sat up slowly, trying to understand where he was. Through the transparent wall of his room, he saw a shining city made of glass and silver towers floating above an endless ocean. Ships glided through the air like birds. It didn't look like any place he had ever seen. He wasn't on the mining colony anymore. He was on another world. A door opened, and Velara walked in with her daughter Lyra. The child ran to him happily and hugged his arm. "You're okay," she said softly. Ethan smiled, still confused. Velara stood behind her, tall and calm, her dark eyes studying him. "You are on Zenthara, my homeworld," she said. "You were unconscious for 2 cycles. The pendant saved you. It connected to your life force when you protected my daughter." Ethan looked at the glowing pendant that now rested in Lyra's hands. It pulsed softly, almost in rhythm with his own heartbeat. "It's connected to me?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Velara replied. "It was made from a rare energy crystal. It only bonds with those who show pure courage. You risked your life with no thought of reward. The pendant recognized that." Ethan didn't know what to say. He wasn't a hero. He just did what he thought was right. But now somehow his actions had tied him to a child and a world he barely understood. As the days passed, Ethan began to recover. Velara often visited him, bringing strange food and asking questions about Earth, its oceans, mountains, and people. She was curious about humans. To her, they were mysterious and unpredictable. Ethan told her simple stories of kindness, bravery, and love. The more they spoke, the more she admired his heart. But peace didn't last long. One night, loud alarms echoed through the tower. Velara entered his room, her face tense. "The High Council has learned what happened on Corin 7, she said. "They fear the power inside the pendant. They believe it could destroy worlds." "Destroy?" Ethan asked in shock. "The energy has merged with your life force," she explained. "If they harm you, it could release a wave that affects the entire planet. They see you as a danger." Before Ethan could respond, the door opened, and several armored guards entered, their weapons glowing. "Commander Velara," one of them said coldly, "by order of the Council, the human must be taken for examination." Velara stepped in front of Ethan, blocking their path. "He is under my protection," she said firmly. "The Council disagrees," the guard replied. "If the bond is unstable, he could destroy us all." Ethan could see the fear in their eyes. He didn't want anyone to be hurt because of him. "Maybe they're right," he said softly. "If I'm dangerous—" "No," Velara interrupted. "You are not the danger. Their fear is." The guards raised their weapons. Lyra screamed and ran to Ethan, clutching his hand. The pendant flashed again, bright and fierce. The air around them shimmered with energy. Velara turned and looked into Ethan's eyes. "Trust me," she said. She touched the pendant, and a wave of light exploded through the chamber. The guards were thrown back, but not harmed. When the light faded, Ethan and Velara stood in the center of a glowing field. The energy formed shapes, images of Earth, Xanthara, and hundreds of other worlds connected by beams of light. Everyone in the room could see it. "This is what he is," Velara said, her voice echoing through the hall. "A bridge, not a weapon. A symbol of what we could be if we stop fearing what we don't understand." The council members who had arrived to witness the event were silent. They had never seen such a display of harmony between species. The energy that had frightened them now felt warm, alive, and peaceful. After a long pause, the eldest counselor spoke. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have judged too quickly." The guards lowered their weapons. The light faded gently, and the pendant's glow returned to normal. Velara turned to Ethan and smiled. "It is over," she said. "You are safe." Weeks passed, and the story of the human who saved an alien child spread across the stars. On every world, people spoke of Ethan Cole, the man who stood between violence and innocence, who took a beating for a child not of his kind, and who brought peace where there was fear. One evening, as the sun set over Xanthara's ocean, Ethan stood on a balcony watching the waves. Velara joined him, her silver armor shining softly in the fading light. "You could return to Earth," she said quietly. "Your people must miss you." Ethan smiled. "Maybe one day," he said. "But for now, I think I'm needed here." Velara looked at him for a long moment. "You saved my child," she said softly. "Now I will protect you for the rest of my life." Lyra ran out to join them, laughing, her pendant glowing like a small star. Ethan watched her play, a quiet peace in his heart. He had come to this world as a stranger, just another worker on a dusty colony. But one simple act of kindness had changed everything. He had crossed the line between species, between fear and hope, and found something stronger than either. As the stars rose over Xanthara, their light reflected in his eyes. Somewhere in the endless galaxy, new stories were already beginning. But for Ethan Cole, this was enough. He had found his place, not as a hero or a warrior, but as a man who had shown that courage and kindness could change the universe.